And we're live. And welcome to Boxing Media Hub in association with the good sponsors Falcon Contracting and Price Global Solutions. So for all your global solutions, contact Price, and for all your contracting, contact Falcon. And so thanks very much to those guys. And now we're going to move on with another prediction we have, which is for the Belfast card next Saturday. I'm going to it, and it's an interesting fight on it because I think this is I 50-50 or 60-40 fights when most fights are 90-100 or 90-10 at this stage. And Sam from SWS Boxing, I'm surprised you're not at York Hall, Sam, but no doubt he's watching it. Tough one, this. You're telling me, Sam, we have to predict it. And cheers for the 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 G up for us. He's 31. He's a southpaw. He's 17 wins and 1 loss, 15 knockouts, and his loss was a knockout. Sorry, that was the in 12-23. I was like, that's not his record. Apologies. And then Sam Maxwell got 17 wins, 2 losses, knockout, and his 2 losses knockout. But in Sam's defense, his last loss was to Dalton Smith with a KO in the 7th round, which is funny. The loss that Sean suffered was at the hands of the talented Welshman Gavin Gwynn, and that was a TKO in round 7 as well. So they're very similar. And as Sam said in the comments, oh, I'm going in and out. Sorry, apologies. I need to put another 50p in the meter. Last roll of the dice for Maxwell, says Sam, so we'll take it from him. And he's been impressed with Sean McComb when he beat Benjamin. So we have that as well. And his final comment is, I reckon McComb points. So there you go. Sam went first in the end. He's gone McComb points. So now I'm going to go over to my expert boxer. And Ash is going to give us his breakdown and give us his. Over to you, Ash.
Cheers, Ender. This is a harder prediction than the last one we just done. And
the last one was 50-50. Hi, Stephen. We're also coming to Belfast next week. So.
Yeah, I've watched both of these lads today, and I've seen them throughout the last couple of years anyway. And like the thing that sticks out to me the most is with Sam Maxwell. He struggled a few times in fights. He got absolutely done in big time by Dalton Smith. Like against Dalton Smith, it looked like he didn't have any confidence. He went in that ring, he was nervous, he was shy. He barely threw a punch with confidence. It was a bit like Carl Fodzik and George Groves.
Yeah, I remember seeing that, and I did think it was a very one-sided fight. I didn't think it was even fair on that.
No, there was no confidence. It was like Fodzik against Groves, the first fight. Like no confidence at all. It was almost like he didn't want to be in there. Just taking the money.
And I remember seeing that fight, and I thought the exact same thing.
Yep. And then he struggled in a couple of other fights, technique wise and this and that. And he's very basic and come forward. He's a good boxer, mind you. Wicked as an amateur, you can't knock his credentials at all. What was achieved. Then he got Sean McComb, and he was on a good run. He boxed Gavin Gwynn, and he was boxing really well against Gavin Gwynn. And in the first few rounds, until Gavin Gwynn stepped up the heat, broke him down, and he just absolutely gassed And I think that was his first real big test against Gavin Gwynn. But since then, it's been like a 7 or 8 fight, winning streak in the last 2 years. It's got some really good momentum. So if I look at this, I'm like, Sam Maxwell is a little bit older as well, 35 to 31. He's just coming off a big loss where he performed way below par. Sean McComb's got a lot of momentum coming into this fight. Sean McComb's probably learned a lot from the Gavin Gwynn fight, where he probably thought, I didn't work enough my fitness, I put too much into my punches early on, I gassed myself out. So he's learned a lot from those fights, gained experience, been working on those improvements. Sam Maxwell, he can't learn much from that Dalton Smith fight. But I mean, what can you say to him? What have you got to learn? I need to be confident. That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you're not confident up there, you're never going to be confident up there.
Exactly.
So, I mean, I look at that and I go, maybe Sam Maxwell's on the way out. McComb's got the momentum.
Well, in fairness to Sam, he said very similar. It's kind of the last roll of the dice for Maxwell,
Yeah.
And like that as well, he said he's been impressed with Sean McComb. So we have that now. Stephen, a good friend of the channel, and he's going to the fight. He said Sean will win this, I believe. Sorry, I've let. Well, in fairness, Sam. No, did Sam? Oh yeah, Sam did give his prediction. Stephen McGurr says Sean will win this, I believe, although he does like to make things difficult for himself at times. Well, that's an understatement, Stephen. And I think that's somewhere that Maxwell should look to exploit, because Sean does make it difficult for himself. Sometimes I think he's, not that he's too brash or whatever, but he just, it's a kind of a bit like Aaron Ramsdale at Arsenal. He kind of gets distracted, or he loses focus. I don't know what it is, but he does do that, and that's a way in for Maxwell. I'm just going to back.
Can Maxwell capitalise on that?
Exactly. That's the $1 million question, or the €2 question. My bet.
McComb come off the pedal and he started gassing. Gwynn didn't let him off the hook. He jumps to
Sean has gone, Sam has gone for Sean on points as well. So that's well, actually, Stephen didn't say how he'd win, but I presume it's on points, because Sean isn't a big puncher, and only 5 of his 17 wins have come by way of knockout. But anyway, what's your prediction, Sam? Or sorry, Ash?
I think I can't see Maxwell pulling himself back from that Dalton Smith fight with a lot of improvements in this. I just can't see it. I think to beat McComb, he needs to step on him. He needs to take it rough and take it tough. And he needs to try and break him down like Gavin Gwynn did. I don't think Sam Maxwell's got that in him. I think he's a bit older. He's just coming off a bad loss, and it's not his style anyway. He's more of a boxer, and I think he probably punches harder than McComb. But
yeah, well, I mean, like, he has 11 KOs from his 17 wins, so that's a very good return at that weight.
That's it, But I mean, McComb's taller.
He's super lightweight, by the way.
So I can see a McComb win, and I think it'll be unanimous on points.
Okay, unanimous points for McComb. Okay, I'm going to let Joel give his speak, because he can't speak. And he said, Joel here, it wouldn't surprise me if this went either way. Jesus, that's a typical Joel. It could go either way, because Joel loves sitting on the fence because he doesn't want to offend anyone. But I'm going to go for McComb on points. Well, again, Joel reads my notes beforehand, so it's obvious he knew what I was going to say. But the way I see it is, number one, it's in Belfast, so that favours McComb. Number two, like you said, Maxwell came off a bad loss against Dalton Smith. Now, we know Dalton Smith operates at a higher level than both of these, but still it was a bad loss. And number three, Sean McComb is on momentum, as you said. Since his loss to Gavin Gwynn, he's gone on a good streak, and he's improved every time. And for those 3 reasons, I'm going to go for Sean McComb on points as well. And like that, I think it could be decisive, because if Maxwell loses heart, he could effectively just, go through the motions, and McComb will easily pick up the rounds. If McComb, kind of switches off like he's known to have done, Maxwell could capitalize, but will he capitalize? I'm not so sure. So I'm going to go for McComb on points win. That's, I'm fairly confident on that one. If I was putting money on it, I would put it on that one.
And Ender. So
Yeah.
let's say Maxwell loses. Where does it go from here? I think it's retirement.
Well, he could retire, or he could. And Stephen has made a very good point. The fact it's in Belfast could also mean McComb gets involved more than he needs to.
And that's what McComb doesn't need. He doesn't need that. He needs to stay on the outside and pick.
And that's the great test of a boxer. That's why boxing is a discipline, as I always say, because we've seen this, and especially with the other Northern Ireland Irish boxer. Michael Conlon, he really gets into wars he's no business to be in. I mean, he's a very slick, skillful boxer, but he wants to get in wars that his body's just not able for. So you don't want any of that. And given the fact that Maxwell has 11 stoppages, you don't want to give Maxwell that opportunity. So, but I do think Maxwell will be too much for him, and I do think McComb will be too much for Maxwell, and I think Maxwell's KO days are probably behind him. But like Stephen said, if Maxwell gets a bit cocky, it could go against him, but I don't really think that's likely to happen. But of course, as we know, anything can happen in boxing. One punch is all it takes. Anyway, thanks very much, Ash. Thanks very much, Ash. There you go. You've been a great contributor there. Loads of knowledge, boxing knowledge there from a boxer's perspective. Always brilliant to have. Thanks for everyone in the chat. Thanks to Sam, thanks to Stephen, thanks to Joel behind the scenes pushing the buttons. And now in a minute, I'm going to ask him to push the button from the outro. So from Ash and for me, cheers. Thanks very much. Cheers, Ash.
Good night.
Good night.